Hello everyone, this is Tuesday on Anxiety and Insomnia Week with a natural anxiety specialist, and today we're talking about sleep hormones. Now, if you caught my stories and my IGTV on Monday, then you will know that my philosophy around helping people with anxiety and insomnia and things like that is to actually give them some reasons to make changes, some understanding, so they understand why what you're doing helps you. And so there are lots of hormones involved in sleep, and we're going to talk about three today. We're going to talk about cortisol, melatonin, and GABA. Now, cortisol is your hormone in the morning that should be the highest that it is all day, and it starts really high. By lunchtime it comes down, and by the time you go to sleep it should be the lowest it's all day, and that allows you to get to sleep. So people who suddenly feel wide awake at night and for some reason usually or may have a cortisol, instead of doing this through the day, it's doing this and coming back up again. Now, your cortisol can be stimulated by all sorts of things, and we will talk about that later in the week. So things like high intensity exercise late at night, blue screens, etc. So there are many reasons why your cortisol might be high. If you also have adrenal fatigue, and that's something we can diagnose by testing, then basically your cortisol may be running a kind of slightly strange curve. You may wake up in the morning feeling exhausted and then get a little bit wide awake and a bit wired in the evening. So cortisol is the first kind of hormone we really need to watch with sleep. Now, one of the key tickets to balancing your cortisol is to balance your blood sugar, and we'll talk about that when we talk about nutrition later in the week. So the next hormone I want to talk about is melatonin. Now, you'll all have heard of melatonin. Now, melatonin is a hormone that is stimulated by the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is part of your wake-sleep cycle. It's called your circadian rhythm, so when you're awake and when you're asleep. Now, that's why when we have jet lag, when we have long-haul flights, we get out of sync, because our melatonin production and our circadian rhythm is all out of whack. And people, especially in the States and other countries, take melatonin supplements in order to combat jet lag. Now, melatonin is made from a protein or an amino acid called tryptophan, and tryptophan comes from food sources. Now, particularly things like chicken, eggs, fish, cheese, peanuts, pumpkin, sesame, milk, that's dairy milk, turkey, soy, and you're gonna love this, chocolate. So I don't want you to go out and eat tons of chocolate, because obviously we need good chocolate, and dark good chocolate has quite high stimulatory properties with caffeine. So, but just to let you know that when you eat a bit of chocolate, you are boosting your tryptophan. So if you're vegetarian and you don't eat a lot of eggs and you're missing out on some of these other foods that we've mentioned, particularly vegan, because you won't have the cheese and the milk and things like that, you won't have the eggs, fish, etc., then basically you may be not eating enough sources of dietary tryptophan. So what does it look like if your sleep is affected by not enough melatonin? Well, it's usually those people who sleep very lightly, not deeply enough, though that can be caused by other things too, and people who wake early, don't sleep for long enough, and wake up and basically can't get back to sleep again. So if that's you, that may be a melatonin issue. It also might be to do with your cortisol, and it also might be to do with your blood sugar. If your blood sugar is swinging around and not regulated, and we will touch a lot on blood sugar when we talk about nutrition later in the week, then you can have a blood sugar low in the middle of the night, and your body will wake you up because it doesn't like it, and it needs to find, excuse me, it needs to find a way of bringing that blood sugar back into balance. So you can also understand that if you get woken lightly because your melatonin is low, so you get woken easily, so you're sleeping lightly, then once you're awake, if you're awake after say 2 or 3, your cortisol levels have already started to rise naturally, so they're high enough in the morning when you wake. And so if you happen to wake in those times, there could be just too much cortisol for you to then drop back into sleep again. So there may be a very sort of twofold hormonal issue with your sleep. Now, if you're still following along with all of that, the third hormone I want to talk about is GABA. Now, GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, and it's one of the ways that your gut bacteria communicate with your brain. It's the most amazing hormone, and what's so interesting about it in terms of sleep is that we make it naturally, and too much and we can't get into deep sleep, and too little and we can't fall asleep. So there's like a sweet spot with GABA. Now, the things that naturally promote GABA, you can take supplements, but that can really upset some people. So I'm not going to recommend that to just, people that I haven't consulted with. But the way to really affect it naturally are things like meditation, yoga, and exercise. Now, exercise, as you know, from a regular basis reduces anxiety, so it's good for you anyway. But yoga is one of those exercises that combines some of the aspects of meditation with a beautiful form of exercise that releases GABA. So basically it's a kind of a win-win. So if you like yoga, if you can face yoga, then I would really recommend you find an online program and just do 15 to 20 minutes twice a day for the week, and just see how that starts to affect your sleep. Because if it changes your sleep, you can start to suspect that GABA might be one of the hormones you need to play with. So just to recap, because it's a bit complex, we have 3 hormones we talked about today. Cortisol, we need it to be low to go to sleep and high to feel good when we wake up. We don't want to wake up in the middle of the night because if we do, our cortisol may naturally be rising and then we can't get back to sleep. So to have that really deep solid sleep, we need 2 other hormones: melatonin, which is governed by your pineal gland and your wake sleep cycle called your circadian rhythm. We need to make sure we got enough dietary sources of tryptophan to make sure we got enough melatonin, and GABA, which is our inhibitory neurotransmitter. We need not too little and not too much. There's like that sweet spot. So I hope that's helped you today, just to have a bit more knowledge about sleep hormones. Send me the messages, ask me some questions, and I will talk to you some more about how to improve your insomnia and your sleep, and therefore your anxiety, very soon. Bye for now.